Do you owe the IRS money? Have you seen those commercials claiming that they can get your tax liability lowered? Or have you received a personal phone call from an individual stating that they can help you get your tax liability lowered? Have you ever thought or wondered how? Why? Do they have a special connection, or do they know something you don't? Well, today I'm going to show you the behind the scenes of how to show up for yourself when advocating for a lower tax liability. And whether you choose to hire an attorney to assist you in the process, I assure you that this will be extremely valuable either way, should you choose to represent yourself or get additional assistance in pursuing the matter. So the very first thing that has to happen is determining, is this in fact a liability that we're comfortable with? So is it based off of tax returns not being filed? And when you don't file your tax returns, ladies and gentlemen, the IRS imputes tax on the income. They don't know anything about your personal lives. They don't know anything about your expenses, your deductions. They know nothing. All they know is that somebody reported that you had income and that you, within a certain period of time, did not report that income along with the other important information as to your deductions, etc. So that's the first thing you have to determine before you decide how you're going to handle your situation. Now, if in fact, when you get the letter and it states that you owe X amount of dollars for this particular year, and you know that you filed a tax return and you agree with the tax return and whatever happened in between, sometimes more income could have been added, sometimes you were audited and didn't report income, therefore there was an adjustment to your adjusted gross income, etc. But again, once you agree with the number, and the number is in fact accurate, that is when you can start to advocate for yourself. And the first thing you can do, if in fact you qualify, so that's the important part of this conversation, is you can file something called an offer and compromise. It is a quick form. It is a $205 application fee. And if you are low income, you can file to have that waived. But it basically just asks you all the important information. What tax period is it from? What are your current payment terms? Why are you wanting to present an offer? What are you asking? Are you asking for penalties and interest to be abated because this is your first time and it's been 3 years, and now that you have all of your ducks in a row, that you're asking for forgiveness for this particular portion, but you 100% agree with the other portion? That could be an offer that you're presenting, and a very reasonable one at that. And then it goes on to ask you, what is your current situation? What is your income? What are your expenses, etc. Now, this is something that attorneys can do for you, but here's what I want you to understand. What goes along with this offer and compromise is this fancy 8-page wage and expense reporting. Okay, 433A is for individuals, 433B is for individuals who are either self-employed or have businesses. So if you're a combination of the two, you have to complete much more because they want to do an analysis not only on your personal life, but also your business life. And remember, the answer to this, the decision that is made by the IRS, is 100% contingent on your ability to pay. So the question is, who determines what ability to pay is? And that's another part that I want to share with you. So in a client of mine who hired an attorney who completed the 433A, all of the information was supplied as far as mortgage, car notes, babysitters, housekeepers, etc. Well, it should come as no surprise to you that the IRS doesn't deem any of those things necessary or ordinary. So the fact that your mortgage is $6,000, well, you could be living somewhere else for $2,000. Or the fact that your car note is $1,500, well, you could be driving something for $500. So just because you put it on the sheet as to what your current circumstance is, you must know that if it is not ordinary and necessary, they will basically impute what in fact is ordinary and necessary, and at that point not give you credit for the fact that you have all of these responsibilities and liabilities, because in their eyes that's yo bad. So I just want you to be clear on that. Just because you look at your personal profit and loss statement and you're barely making ends meet does not mean that they determine that you're barely making ends meet. And that's what happened to my client when he hired this attorney and they presented these documents. The attorney did not inform him of such. The attorney did not manage his expectations that even after supplying all of this information, which was legitimate, and it seemed reasonable in the eyes of the client because he is in fact, quote, struggling to pay his IRS liability. The fact of the matter is he would not be struggling to pay his IRS liability if he in fact downsized. And I'm seeing a great deal of this in this industry. By the time my clients walk through my door, they have already been through approximately 2 attorneys and have already shelled out in upwards of $60,000 for representation, and still nothing. What's even sadder is when I pull these transcripts. Please note, these transcripts are public record and you can pull your transcripts yourself too. When we pulled the transcripts for the state and federal to see when these attorneys were in fact showing up, what forms they were filing, etc., we came to find out that forms were not filed, hearings were not attended, and so forth. And that was even more disheartening in this circumstance. So, the overall goal of this video is to inform you that should you get yourself into a situation as such, please do your research and your due diligence first. Everything is at your fingertips. Now, which wasn't the case 7 years ago, you can log into your profile, irs.gov. You can pull every transcript, absolutely any and every statement, any type of view that you have regarding each year, your income, your deductions, and your tax liabilities. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is print everything out, and then look at that to the left and look at the letter, the correspondence to the right, and try to tie it in together to figure it out. And again, like I said, step 1, determine if in fact that the letter that has landed on your lap is its final tax liability, that you do in fact agree with the amount. And then step 2 is to start to decide what it is you truly qualify for. And it is up to you to be able to communicate all of the details to any individual you decide to hire to assist you in navigating through this process. Withholding information from that person will only hurt you. So should you decide to not disclose the car that you co-signed for your mom that's registered in your name, but you're not paying the car note for, they end up finding it. And then you look like you have withheld information. And it's something innocent. You totally forgot. It happened 3 years ago. You don't even drive the car. You don't pay for the car. But it's small things like that that make a really big impact on the negotiation process. Again, you have to be an advocate for yourself. The attorney that you hire or the CPA that you hire to assist you in navigating through this can't represent you the way you can represent you. And let me take this even one step further to prove this point. On the 8-page offer and compromise collection of information. The attorney that you hire cannot answer, let me repeat, cannot answer any of the questions on pages 1 through 6. 1 through 6, your attorney will be sending to you to complete. They cannot do it for you, okay? Pages 7 and 8, when they come in with their expertise, is simply calculating what you've given them. Do you see the importance of your role in this process? So number one, can you do it yourself? Fucking right you can, okay? And you're gonna be better for it. Number two, I think you should in fact sit down and do it yourself. And then if you get stuck on page 7 and 8, that's when you get together with an attorney or another advocate or professional to help you take it to the home stretch, okay? But this is all on you. You have the power, you hold the power, exercise your power.